So it is sort of eye-opening when Chris Sims goes on his show on NBC and says this about Brock Purdy, who's in contract negotiations.
Do the Steelers want Brock Purdy as their quarterback? Would they want him?
Ooh.
Right? Would they want to do it? Hey, listen, if it might be too late in the game to make a move like that for the 49ers now. But damn, if I had something to say about it, I would have been like, let's just blow this thing up. Let's trade him away to somebody, and let's get somebody else at quarterback for the future and build this team again. That's what I would want to do.
That's what I would do. Well, he has a market. There's 6 teams every year to 8 that are desperate at quarterback. Okay. Don't confuse lucky with foundational. Let's say you go to a garage sale. You buy a picture for $15, $20. 20 years later, Antiques Roadshow comes to your town and you sell it for 20 grand. That's lucky. Okay? That's lucky. That doesn't make it a business. What do you do for a living? Oh, I just go to garage sales and I pay $20 for paintings and I sell them for $20,000. That's not a business. Just be grateful. If the Niners are so brilliant, then why did they pass on Brock Purdy 6, 7 times? The whole league did. They got lucky. And he fits the system, especially when they're all healthy. Smart kid, recognizes defense quickly, not a big arm, but he kind of fits the system. Doesn't have a big ego. He'll do what Kyle says. And this offense, when healthy 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when he came into the league, was stacked. They were Super Bowl favorites every year. They were stacked. Let Pittsburgh make a mistake. Call the New York Giants. 7 to 8 teams every year are desperate. He's smaller than you'd like. Arm is okay. Already had 2 injuries to his throwing shoulder or throwing elbow, shoulder. And he does not play particularly well in inclement weather because of hand size.
Okay. You know what's hilarious? Every year we say that 7 or 8 teams are desperate for a quarterback. So do you want the 49ers to be one of those 7 or 8 teams every year desperate for a quarterback? Like, what are we saying here? You're going to move on and get a quarterback of the future. Who's the quarterback of the future then? Who do you think is going to be better than Brock Purdy right now? Who's it going to be? What are you're going to go out and get Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders? Like, I don't understand what you're even saying right now. What are we saying right now? Yes, Brock Purdy will never be as good as Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. I think that's okay to admit that in terms of the physical skill set. The physical skill set. But those quarterbacks have not won a Super Bowl. And we keep saying that those quarterbacks, in order for them to win a Super Bowl, that those teams need to get those quarterbacks help. AKA build a better roster, coaching staff, whatever it may be. So judging a quarterback based on how good his roster in terms of right now, it really does not make sense. And like I always say, it makes sense when you're trying to figure out, is someone the GOAT? Or if someone is commanding a ton of money, like a Dak Prescott. Like, Dak Prescott's like, give me all the money in the world. And it's like, are you really worth that? Like, let's have this conversation. Let's talk about the roster. Okay, you were a 12-win win team for a bunch of years in a row, and then you failed in the playoffs. Like, let's have a conversation. Like, you individually, like, failed in the playoffs. Like, let's have that conversation. But, like, with Brock Purdy, like, when you gave him the squad, when you gave him the team, he did not fail. He was not the failure point here. If he failed in the Super Bowl, if it was clear that he was the true limiting factor, then I would say, okay, that's a different conversation. You would feel uncomfortable if you built another great roster, that he would be the limiting factor to win a Super Bowl. And compare that to it's perfect. Compare that to the Cowboys, where if the Cowboys build an awesome roster again, and they win 11, 12 games, you would have true questions and true doubts and true concerns. Will Dak Prescott be good enough to get over the hump? With a great roster, can Dak Prescott overcome and beat the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, etc., etc.? And you would really be like, I've never seen it. And in fact, I've seen him be a legitimate liability in those moments. You can't say that about Brock Purdy. You just can't. Now, if this was last year, okay, in terms of last year's draft, And, the 49ers were in a position where they could, like, move up in the draft. They can get a top 5, top 4, top 3, whatever it is. And then you could say, hey, man, we could redo this whole rookie thing. You can go out and get J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. Like, we got a pool of quarterbacks that we can get after. I would be so much more open to that. And then it becomes a fascinating philosophical question of, like, how important is a quarterback truly on a rookie deal? You'd be able to build another great roster. You pay your quarterback no money. Like, then it becomes like a very interesting discussion. But, like, I don't understand. Are you then waiting for next year's quarterback draft? Are you saying that if you get a great roster that you're going to have more success with Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart? Because you're not getting Cam Ward. So, like, I don't understand. What quarterback are you getting this draft then? I don't understand. And then again, if you're talking about the next year, then that means that you're going to have to be awful again this year. And then it's just like, I don't know what the logic then is. Let's trade him, get a quarterback for the future. Again, a quarterback for the future. So you're talking about then this year's draft. Unless someone's listening to that. And then we're saying, and like Colin's like, oh, it's very telling that Chris Sims is saying this because he's so close with Shanahan. Well, you know what? He's friends with Shanahan, but first he's a guy who's, trying to, build his own brand, make his own money, have a TV show, radio show, YouTube show, whatever. So, like, that's not telling of anything, quite frankly. It's just not. He's not in the NFL making that money. He's not a head coach. He's not a GM, etc., etc. He's a personality now. Let's trade him, get a quarterback for the future. Or something else that we also know is incredibly valuable is getting a pretty great quarterback for a pretty competitive price, and that now gives you plenty of freedom and flexibility to build a great roster. Yes, if Brock Purdy wants $60-65 million, then yes, I agree. We have a problem. That's more than Josh Allen. Yes, we have a problem then. But if he's looking for like $50 million, then we don't have a problem at all. Because that is now equivalent to him essentially getting like $40 million last year. When someone like Dak, Tua, Trevor, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, etc., they were all getting top dollar. So I don't fully understand this conversation. And this is always the part of the problem because we just don't have all of the information. Because for all we know, Brock Purdy really is playing hardball, and he's like, I want $60 million. And I know we all hear reports like that's not true. Then we hear reports, no, he wants $55 million. No, he wants $50 million. No, he wants $45 million. Like there's all these random conversations about it. And then from that viewpoint, I just give up on trying to guess, honestly. Because it doesn't even matter at that point. It's the other conversations that then kind of I find personally more interesting. Like, let's trade him, get a quarterback for the future. Okay, how? Tell me, how? Who are you drafting? Tell me. And tell me how you're so confident that that quarterback is going to have the levels of success that Brock Purdy has had. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Because you're going to have to still rebuild an awesome roster if you're just going to go draft a young quarterback. And how are you going to have to build that roster? It's going to be through the draft. So then what would be the difference if you just pay Brock Purdy and then continue to draft that talent? Because, like, what amazing roster are you going to necessarily build in free agency right now? Like, I also want to know. Justin Jefferson's going to be available now. Saquon Barkley's going to be like, I don't like the Eagles anymore. You're going to get him? Like, I'm not, it's not clear to me what you would be building in free agency. You're going to make a splash play and get, like, Tyreek Hill or something? Like, it's like, it's unclear to me then. That's also where I'm kind of a bit confused. Because let's say we were able to just, have another 2 years where we don't pay Brock Purdy any money again. We got 2 years, pay him $0. We don't even got to pay him the $900,000. Like, you got $0. What would you have done differently in free agency right now? what would you have done? Would you have kept Debo? Would have that been the right move? Like, I don't know about that. Like, you're trying to get younger. Because he even said, like, blow this thing up. You're trying to get younger. When you blow this thing up, then you're going to be drafting players. You're going to be drafting young talent. You're going to rebuild through that way. Like, usually in free agency, when the teams that actually, like, make moves and win, usually you have, like, a pretty foundational team. And then you go out in free agency and get a little bit of this and get a little bit. Again, look at the Eagles. Like, they just needed Saquon. They went out and got, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, whatever. And then you could say years before that, they went out and got A.J. Brown. But they drafted Jalen Carter. They drafted Devontae. They drafted Jalen Hurts. They had a bunch of other players they had drafted, like Lane Johnson and at the time Kelsey or now Cam Jurgen. Like, they drafted all, like, the heart of this roster that then went on to win the Super Bowl. And some of the free agency moves that the Kansas City Chiefs have made over the years are, like, random mixed bag of players that, like, people don't really want necessarily. Hollywood Brown, Juju, like, whatever. So I'm not understanding the logic, quite frankly. I'm really not. If you're going to build a team in the draft to rebuild this team and get this team, to blow it up and get it all competitive again, then there's really no harm in paying Purdy, first off, and you're not overpaying for Purdy. And if you trade Purdy, you're now going to have to draft a quarterback, which means you're now going to have to draft that quarterback instead of using that draft pick to build the roster. I'm just not sure how this makes any sense. I really don't. Like I said, it makes more sense if we were talking about last year's draft, because then you would say there's a lot of quarterbacks to go around there, and you start to kind of do the math, and you're like, hey, I think Bo Nix could have a ton of success with Shanahan, or and Brock Purdy fans, don't get lost in trying to figure out, is Brock Purdy better than any of those quarterbacks? Because before that, all those quarterbacks are also still question marks, and it's still like worth to contemplate technically. But like when we look at this year's draft, like it's a non-starter. That's why like people are kind of like, what do we do in this draft? That's why there's like not a lot of trade movement. For the first time since like 1967, all 32 teams are just like where they are in the draft order. Because it's like there's no quarterbacks that people are like hunting to get. The Giants can't even decide, do we want Shador? Do we want Jackson Dart? Colin went on a whole rant saying that Jackson Dart's like not going to be a good quarterback. That he's going to be like Blake Bortles. He compared him to Blake Bortles and Zach Wilson. So like that's who the 49ers should go out and get then? Or Shador Sanders? Like you're going to move on from Brock Purdy to get Shador Sanders? Please tell me how that makes sense, because it doesn't at all. Any of the limitations that you see of Shador's of Brock Purdy, you could say that then Shador Sanders would have. Sometimes you just got to look at things logically. Not sometimes, always. And like I struggle when I can't see the logic of something, just it makes my head short circuit. Which is why I keep going back to if it was last year's draft, because then again, logically, I can make sense of it. Then logically, I can say, okay, I understand the logic. I could disagree with it, but at least I understand the logic. I understand how we're getting there. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure it out in real time. I'm still trying to figure out like, okay, well, is he saying then just be bad this year? You roll out Mac Jones, I guess, and then you draft a quarterback next year. You try to get like Manning or something. Like, again, I'm more open to some of that as well, technically, but like, I don't know. We start to blur in some pretty messy territory right now. Yeah, I don't know. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Brock Purdy? The 49ers should trade him, blow this thing up, get another quarterback for the future. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, excuse me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.